Hi everyone, I'm Katrina and today I'm going to be talking about the books that I read during the months of January and February. I'm going to start out with the book that I rated the lowest, and that is Rebel of the Sands by Alwyn Hamilton. I ended up giving this one a 2.5 out of 5 stars. I think originally on Goodreads I gave it 3 stars, but after having a little bit more time to think about the book as well, my rating has dropped slightly. In this book we follow Amani, who lives in a dead-end town named Dustwalk, and being poor, orphaned and a female, it's not a very great place for her to live. So she wants to escape, and her chance arises when a foreigner appears in town, and alongside that there are also some kind of fantastical elements too. So overall I did enjoy this book. I thought it was a really captivating premise, and I also like the fact that Amani was really skilled with guns. So we got some really cool action scenes and some shoot-offs and things like that, but I did find it lacking a bit and a bit problematic too. I had a bit of an issue with the pacing. There were a few times throughout the book where we kind of skipped over several weeks, and I kind of felt a bit robbed of the story just because those periods of time that we do skip over would have been really prime opportunities to flesh out and develop some of the story and the characters and relationships as well. So instead of witnessing those progressions, we're kind of just told about them. So as a result of that, I didn't really feel much of a connection, a really strong connection to the characters, and I didn't really feel drawn to the romance of the story. My main issue with this one as well is that there appears to be a bit of a lack of research when it comes to the world building and the setting. So this is a fantasy book that is kind of a blend between a Western as well as a Middle Eastern. The Middle Eastern elements in this book do draw upon some real cultures and real beliefs, but what it does draw upon typically are negative stereotypes. There were a couple of smaller things that I noticed while reading the book, but after finishing it, I decided to look out for some reviews by people who are Middle Eastern to see if there was anything more. I'll have a bit of a look and see if I can link some of the reviews down below if I can find them again. But essentially they were saying that it does draw upon a lot of negative stereotypes, and some of the elements of the cultures that are depicted in the story do not reflect their own culture and their own society. Now, being a fantasy, a lot of this is fictional, and I'm not saying that a fictional society that is inspired by a real one has to take everything and reflect it completely, and that there can't be any changes whatsoever. But when a society is only drawing upon really negative stereotypes, that becomes a problem, because that's even further perpetuating those stereotypes when they're not accurate. The next book I have here is Labyrinth Lost by Zoraida Cordova. This is a own voices novel. The main character, Alex, is Latina, and she is bisexual as well. In this book we follow Alex, and she is a bruja, and that is pretty much a witch. She happens to be a very powerful witch, but she hates magic. So when her death day approaches, she tries to get rid of her magic. This completely backfires, and her family is sent to kind of like a limbo. They're sent to Los Lagos. So Alex goes after them, trying to retrieve them. Overall, I did enjoy this book. I gave it 3 stars. It had a lot of potential, but I just kind of wanted more. I wanted more character development, especially for Alex's best friend and love interest Rishi, and I also wanted a little more development with their friendship and their relationship, because I feel like we didn't really get to witness much of their interactions and chemistry before the story really took off. So I feel like I didn't really get to fall in love with the 2 characters and their relationship. I wanted more description. I feel like I couldn't really visualize Los Lagos enough. I wanted more description to kind of flesh it out in my mind and to experience it all. I also wanted more detail, particularly during those action scenes and specifically towards the climax of the book, because at some points the action scenes were glossed over a bit and I was left either feeling confused or wanting more. I also didn't like the use of bipolar eyes in this as a descriptor. I just felt like there's so many other ways that this could have been described better, especially since I still don't really know what was meant by bipolar eyes, so it, at least to me, wasn't a very effective description. The one thing that I think I loved the most about this book though was family, and how much that played such a strong role in this book and in Alex's life. Alex's family is really close-knit. It is a community, and I loved seeing Alex's relationships with her sisters and with her mother, as well as her aunt and her grandma. The last book that I'm going to be talking about is based on a true story by Delphine de Vigan, and I rated this one 4 out of 5 stars. This was originally written in French. This one is also published by Bloomsbury, where I work. This is a psychological thriller, and we follow the main character Delphine as she meets someone called Elle, and it kind of follows this really toxic and obsessive relationship. And basically we see how Elle tries to kind of take over Delphine's life. This was just such a fascinating book that had me constantly questioning as soon as I started the book, but as well as after finishing, I just still have so many questions and I can't really stop thinking about it. One of the things I really liked about this book was that it focuses on an unhealthy friendship. So a lot of times in fiction, we come across unhealthy relationships, and we also come across a lot of awesome and really strong friendships, but we don't often see the blend of the two, which is an unhealthy friendship. So that felt really new and fresh to me. If you can think of any, I'd definitely be interested in hearing your recommendations, but I can't think of any, at least not off the top of my head anyway. This book was also just really clever. As you can tell by the title, based on a true story, this really does blur the line between reality and fiction. This is kind of played upon, especially since the main character of the book is called Delphine, which is also the author's name, and a lot of the experiences that Delphine, the main character, has seems, at least to me, who has no knowledge of the author, seems to reflect some of the author's experiences as well, because the main character in here is also an author. So I think that she is really trying to blur that line between what is real and what isn't, and it's also reflected in the construction of the book and the premise itself. And I think I'm going to leave my thoughts on this book there, just because I might do a full book review of this one at some point. If you are interested in seeing that, then definitely let me know down below. For any of you who are French as well, have you read Based on a True Story? Because obviously this one's already out in France. I would definitely be curious about your thoughts on Based on a True Story as well, because I feel like this is a book that you could really talk about. There's just so many questions. So these are the books that I read in the past couple of months. As always, I'm very curious to hear what your thoughts about these were, if you have read any of the books that I've mentioned. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and thanks for watching. Don't forget that I post a video every Tuesday and Friday, but if you want to be alerted when I do post a video, click that notification bell. But until next time, I'll talk to you guys in the comments. Bye!